Stratters, Nick here, known as the Exalted One on Magic the Gathering Online, back with some more modern action this week, playing Jeskai Control. So Jeskai Control has been not necessarily a pillar of the modern format, nor would I say it really ever has been, but it has been an evergreen presence within the format. A lot of people really like the playstyle of the deck, some of the cards within the deck, and so it's really been, again, a presence basically since Modern's originated. This is my take on Jeskai Control within the current format. Probably the most startling thing that you'll see here is that there are no lightning bolts in the deck, no other red removal, nothing like Roast or Electrolyze. It's just a very light splash of red in a blue-white control deck, really. So I have kind of my piles here laid out by the types of cards, so I'll just kind of go through these. Our removal, we have Supreme Verdict and Path to Exile as kind of our core removal suite, and then we're supplementing this with Condemn and Blessed Alliance. Condemn and Blessed Alliance in particular are very good against Death Shadow. Condemn, is a nice cheap spell to cast against other creature decks. You can Condemn a Goblin Guide, feel pretty good about that. And Blessed Alliance is just a nice cheap 2-mana spell, but has the ability to escalate in the late game and gain you a little bit of life while taking out a creature. My counter magic suite, also a little bit unusual, or at least, maybe two of these card choices are. Cryptic Command, just a staple of the format, kind of deals with anything, can gain some card advantage, has some other utility that can, get you out of some unique positions that you might be in. I don't think it's too unusual to see some negates in the main deck, or, if you're playing a Grixis deck, maybe Counter Squall. Even against the decks that are chock full of creatures, collected company decks with 26, 28 creatures, you still want to be countering their collected companies and their Court of Callings, preventing them from tutoring, preventing them from getting card advantage. So playing a couple negates isn't anything particularly strange. What maybe is a little bit strange is the playing of Essence Scatter. I think this is a little bit underplayed in Modern, and in at least some ways. I'm not advocating for, 4 Essence Scatters, but I think 1 or 2 Essence Scatters is a reasonable number. As I just mentioned, there are decks playing, 26 creatures, and so you're not going to have a shortage of targets for the Essence Scatter, and it's nice to line up a counter spell against some of these creatures rather than a removal spell if they have entered the battlefield effects, or, something like Persist. So it's a card that I'm kind of trying a little bit more of, as I play a little bit more in the current format. Going here to our card draw column, we have Serum Visions and Think Twice. Playing the full 4 of each of these, again, is a little bit unusual. Typically you would see, maybe a playset of one of these and then, a couple of the other to sort of fill out the curve, or perhaps you would play some number of Spreading Seas. Since this is a 3-color deck and we can't commit to playing, a bunch of Ghost Quarters and Tectonic Edges, I don't think it's good to have Spreading Seas since we don't have, a lot of land destruction, effects with the Quarters and Tech Edges to really supplement them, so I'm playing the ones that I have here. It's important to note that these kind of serve different functions, even though you'll typically see them played, exclusively or, inclusively within decks. Serum Visions is a card filtration spell. It costs 1. It's very cheap, and the scries help find, the cards that you're looking for. Whereas Think Twice is a card advantage spell. Once you cast the flashback, you go up a card. Our sort of late-game card advantage spell is Sphinx's Revelation. Typically you want to be firing this off for at least 4, and if you can get a large Sphinx's Revelation, usually that's a nice way to pull the game together. And very often the life game is relevant, so even though you might fire it off for a really low amount, like just 3 or 4, the life game can sometimes constitute an extra card. Desolate Lighthouse is also a card I decided to put in this particular, card advantage, card filtration pile. It's just a nice card. We have some of these niche cards, Essence Scatter against a creature deck, or, excess removal, or maybe we want to kind of get rid of some of this fluff here that we have in our card draw department. We can do that with Desolate Lighthouse, as well as, smoothing out our draws and not getting flooded on mana. You'll notice it's the only sort of utility land within the deck, not playing any creature lands. I don't think they're particularly good in the modern format, at least, the typical ones you'd play. Celestial Colonnade is very expensive to activate, and then often once you do that, they have a Fatal Push, they have a Terminate to take care of it, and so it's not the most effective win condition. Often the best you can hope for from a man land at this juncture in Modern is to get an attack in at a Planeswalker or something like that. So what win conditions are we playing? Obviously we want to have 4 Snapcaster Mages, which is card advantage, and a clock in 1 card. Sometimes those can just close out the game on their own. A little bit harder in this particular deck since we don't have, Bolt, Snapcaster, Bolt to depend on. It's a very quick way to turn the corner, but, a way nonetheless. Secure the Waste is a card that I'm not in love with as a win condition. It's got its vulnerabilities. This is a card that you really want to sink all of your mana into to get the maximum effect from, but that's really difficult when there's cards like Stubborn Denial and Mana Leak in the format, and particularly difficult post-board when there's cards like Dispel and Negate coming into people's decks. It can also, get caught by some kind of niche cards that this deck you really wouldn't want your win condition to get caught by. Opposing Sweeper, Maelstrom Pulse, Zealous Persecution, Golgari Charm. These are all cards that decks play that can kind of make your Secure the Waste look silly. So while I think it's a fine win condition to have, I wouldn't want to play it as my only win condition in the deck. So to that end, we have Keranos, God of Storms, which I think is a very, very resilient card within the modern format. Indestructible enchantment, hard to deal with. It's a creature while it's on the stack, so you don't have to worry about Negate. I haven't really seen other people playing Essence Scattered in Modern. So it's resilient in that sense, and a nice card to play as a win condition, and generate some card advantage along the way. Then finally we have 1 Nahiri the Harbinger, is just kind of an extra looting effect with the +1, like a Desolate Lighthouse would be, but you get a little bit of removal value out of the -2 ability, and then the ultimate. It doesn't, there is no Emrakul in the deck, but you can search out Keranos, you can search out Snapcaster Mage, and people, when they play against this deck, don't know that there's not an Emrakul, so sometimes they'll sink a lot of resources to prevent the Nahiri from going ultimate, or if they don't have an answer with Nahiri on 8 loyalty, sometimes they even scoop the game. You might even see that in this particular video set. I've had it happen in practice. Switching to the sideboard, this pile has our real Haymaker cards, for particular matchups, Dredge, Affinity, big mana decks, and some kind of versatile answer cards here. Dispel, Vendilion Clique, these are cards I've talked about in other deck techs. Celestial Purge just as a nice answer against Death Shadows, Tassigars, Liliana the Veils, Blood Moons, whatever you might encounter in a certain matchup. Wear Tear, I just never like to be without a good number of disenchant effects in my deck. Staticaster, great against X1 creatures. You can bring it in against Storm to hedge against Empty the Warren tokens, good against Lingering Souls, lots of utility out of Staticaster. And then I went with Radiant Flames as my sort of supplementary sweeper effect. I would like to be playing Anger of the Gods, but I've noticed in this deck sometimes double red is a little bit difficult, especially when you have, 3 of Supreme Verdict that you want to be playing 2 as a sweeper, and you want to be fetching out double white. It can be hard to get the double red for an Anger of the Gods. So this is a card that you can, be fetching to get double white for your Supreme Verdict, but if you draw the Radiant Flames, you'll be able to cast it for 3 damage. So this is the deck. Jeskai Control. I'll be running it through a few matches for you all. Hopefully we'll see you at the matches, so stay tuned, Stratters. Hello, Stratters. Nick here with another match of Modern, playing Jeskai Control. We'll go ahead and keep this hand. So I think what I'm going to do is fetch Shock here on turn 1, getting a Hallowed Fountain, just so we don't upset the scries off our Serum Visions.
Don't want another land, and we'll take an Essence Scatter. Depending on the matchup, that may or may not be good, but we'll figure it out. Most decks at least have some creatures, so I don't necessarily think it's a problem to take it. So keep up Essence Scatter and think twice. So the opponent does nothing, so we'll go ahead and think twice. Okay, play Island. Again, keep up Scatter and this time Flashback on think twice. Some sort of Bant strategy. I wonder if this is Bant Eldrazi, since we see a brush land here. Yeah, let's go ahead and Essence Scatter that guy. Okay, so now we know what the matchup is. I'm gonna play Island, Serum Visions. Again, don't want another land. Happily take a Cryptic Command. Keep up Flashback, think twice. Although this might be a Thought-Knot Seer this turn. It's not. So that's not too bad for us. Go to end step and Flashback, think twice. Okay, so Bant Eldrazi has been on the downswing ever since the Death Shadow decks really started to take over. So I think what I want to do is play Glacial Fortress so we can leave up Condemn as well as Cryptic Command. So, I mean, this match is going. I mean, the opponent had kind of a slow draw. We were able to kind of spend our mana on some different turns for the think twices. You know, get a little bit of card advantage that way. But our cards, I think, are a little bit better going into the late game, anyways. So at this particular juncture, I'm feeling kind of favored. So what is this, a Thought-Knot Seer? I don't even want to deal with that because I want to keep this Sphinx's Revelation in hand. And I'll play this Flooded Strand. You know, leaves the option to Snapcaster Cryptic if need be. I'm not sure if we'll go ahead and fire off the Sphinx's Revelation. I don't really see a reason to do that. This is a nice card just because if they play a Reality Smasher, we can kind of get it without going, you know, getting card disadvantage from discarding to the trigger. So I guess just fetch a couple more lands. Hallowed Fountain with that one. Get Steep Vents with this one. Play this Plains. Okay, so this might be our Revelation turn if the opponent doesn't do anything. I wonder if they're maybe waiting to try to find a Cavern of Souls or another Thought-Knot Seer. Okay, so they had a Thought-Knot, so this is going to be Snapcaster, counter draw on the Thought-Knot. We could try to bounce our Snapcaster Mage with the Cryptic Command. If they're representing Path to Exile, and given the given that they've had kind of this slow plotting hand, I feel like Path is a card that they could definitely have. So that's two Thought-Knot Seers down. And we'll go ahead and attack with the Snapcaster Mage. They aren't going to Path it. Let's see what this is. Smasher. Okay. So we're casting Blessed Alliance. Question is, do we want to gain 4 life on top of that? And I don't really see any reason not to. So, target player gains 4 life, target opponent sacrifices an attacking creature. I would like the life, you sack the guy. And do that. So we're handling all of the opponent's threats very, very nicely. Cast a Think Twice and flashback a Think Twice. Yeah, so I'm feeling really good about this game at this point. And there's a Keranos. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and fire that off. And then at this point, yeah, I'll just take it in case they do have another Thought-Knots here. We can fire off Sphinx's Revelation for at least 2. But the game seems well underhand. I think, let's see, is this maybe a Drowner? Drowner would be, I mean, pretty good, but... Okay, so it is a Drowner. We'll just path the Drowner and then slowly kind of chew through the tokens. They could have multiple Drowners in hand. That's definitely a possibility. So path that guy. And kill a Scion. Cryptic Command's an excellent card. And I think this is actually a race I don't mind getting into, at least at this point. Trading 2 for 1, plus I have a Keranos on board. Let's see, this is one of the few targets for Negate, so I'm gonna be sure to fire this off while I can. So maybe another Drowner. Counter target spell, draw a card. So this is I don't know, kind of, I mean, the opponent did have a slow hand, but even still, like, we haven't drawn a Supreme Verdict this game or anything. Sure, we'll deal the damage to you. Don't really care about the Scion. Go ahead, attack. See, so the only card I'm not entirely sure about, if they play any World Breakers, that's a card that I think deals with Keranos, right? They can exile the permanent that it targets with the trigger. And sometimes this deck plays Stubborn Denial, so I'm just going to play around that and only rev for 6. Very nice. Bottom. Don't really need any more lands. Play that. Attack. Discard. Think twice and Supreme Verdict. I don't think I'll cast any Wrath of Gods this game. Okay, so opponent saw enough. So that was a really good showing. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the opponent was just a little bit slow out of the gates, and that was all we really needed. Cards in this matchup. These do nothing. Dispels are medium. Crumble to Dust is a little bit slow for what they want to do, and like I could take out a Eldrazi Temple or Cavern of Souls, something like that, but I don't know if that really does very much. Staticaster could be okay. I mean, they might take out some removal, so Vendilion Clique would be more attractive, but I for sure want to keep my Supreme Verdicts in. Yeah, I mean, Staticaster can kill mana guys, it can kill Eldrazi Scions, although it doesn't kill all of them because they can sacrifice for mana. If they have Sky Spawner, you can get that. Yeah, I'll bring it in and take out one of these Think Twice. They could also bring in some sort of sideboard card that makes me want Wear Tear. Something like a... Probably something to shut off my Snapcasters, like a Rest in Peace. I don't know if I necessarily want to fight that fight, though, and I don't know that they're going to have it, so... If it's like a... I mean, you know, Nahiri can take out an enchantment if it's exactly Rest in Peace. Yeah, this hand looks fine. I mean, we're missing white mana, but it has a plan. Okay, Ancient Stirrings, but not a mana guy. Thought-Knot Seer. Okay, so we know at some point they'll have a Thought-Knot Seer. I want to fetch a white source sooner rather than later, so probably fetch out Hallowed Fountain, then play Sulfur Falls. Hallowed Fountain. Sulfur Falls. Now we have the option to negate, or option to, excuse me, Essence Scatter, or to think twice. And I would really like to line up this Essence Scatter against that Thought-Knot Seer. So if they play like a 3-drop here, we'll just... Yeah, I'll let that happen. Like I said, I mean, like, yeah, they're going to draw this Ancient Stirrings off of this Eternal Witness, but now I have, you know, Think Twice to cast. And... yeah, I'll play that tapped. Now if they don't have a land here, I'll wish that I'd played something untapped so I could have Think Twice instead. But my plan was kind of to Essence Scatter the Thought-Knots here. And like, if they find an Eldrazi Temple here, yeah, okay, so it's still all going according to plan. Essence Scatter this. And, yeah, I'm going to leave a Cryptic Command to counter the incoming Reality Smasher. Blessed Alliance can be a good answer, but since they have the Eternal Witness on the battlefield, that's not the good answer. It sometimes can be. So, counter target spell, draw a card. It's also nice that they don't have a Cavern of Souls in this game. Otherwise, like how differently would this have gone? They would have, you know, put a Thought-Knot and a Reality Smasher into play through Essence Scatter and Cryptic Command. Can make a huge difference. So I'll just kind of start firing off these Think Twices. So it's a Thought-Knot. Okay, Sky Spawner. Yeah, this is fine. Oh, I just F6'd. Oh, that was bad. Okay, so we have plenty of removal. I would actually like to find a Wrath, though. I want to take the damage. So that was really bad. I mean, we would have had these paths both in hand. Just wasted all that mana. And this is when the drowners start to happen. So we really need to find, like White Source plus Supreme Verdict. Okay, Smasher. So we'll just path that, discarding the Think Twice. Maybe we should Condemn it. Probably Condemn it. I'll just discard a Think Twice. Stubborn Denial. Well, that's going to be good. That's right. Cast one of the ones from our graveyard. Staticaster? Yeah, we would have been in so much better shape if I had an F6 there. So I guess I for sure want to path to exile this while I can, without worrying about another. Discard that. Without worrying about another Stubborn Denial. So the plan is to flash in Staticaster, block the Eternal Witness, ping the Sky Spawner. And like if they have a path or anything like that, this just all gets ruined. Well, I mean, given the win conditions they saw, path is a card they might have boarded out. Okay, am I able to block? Yeah, so concede. Yeah, so that game was a punt because of the Magic Online. So we would have found a Supreme Verdict, but wouldn't have found another White Source. But we would have been able to maybe path. I don't know. Hard to say how that was gonna go. Didn't really see anything that we want this for. Yeah, I'm gonna run it back. This hand has a lot of good cards for the matchup. We really need to find more lands, clearly. But we have a Serum Visions. Opponent's mulliganing to 6, thinking about going to 5. Okay, stay at 6. What they do with the scry? Put it on top. Okay, some Serum Visions. Put that on the bottom. Put that on the top. Okay, let's see if they have a mana guide this particular game. Okay, they do. So they are ready to go. So if we can use Essence Scatter here, ooh, Cavern. Cavern is going to be good. What do we got? Yep. So I don't think I want to do anything just yet. Hopefully I can draw a land, play Staticaster. Okay, didn't. So now I might actually path. And I want to make sure I do this before the Exalted resolves, because they could have Stubborn Denial. So really just need to hit land drops. If I hit land drops, I think I'll be okay. If I don't, that's when things can go bad. Again, they have Cavern Souls. Which makes my Essence Scatter look silly. And another 3-drop. Eternal Witness. Yep. I wonder how many Eternal Witness they play. It's not a card I see a lot of. It's also kind of tilting that and I just want to limit their mana right now. That since this Cavern's on Eldrazi and Eternal Witness is a human, I can still use Essence Scatter on it. Is this Thought Knot? Yeah. So Thought Knot probably takes Supreme Verdict. And I mean, I do have removal for Thought Knot. I have the Staticaster to take care of the Eternal Witness. So again, I want to draw probably, one more land. Maybe like Cryptic Command is a little bit worse because they have the Cavern. Okay, they took Path to Exile. I guess that makes sense. Since... yeah, so I'll just Staticaster that right away. Negate's not a very good draw, although I know they have Ancient Stirring, so I guess it's okay in that sense. Ooh, another one. It's uncounterable, yeah. Sure, so I guess if they knew that they had another Thought Knot Seer, not taking Supreme Verdict with the first one is fine. So yeah, they took a path. Taking Condemn. Guess they're, because I don't have a 4th land, they're not too worried about it. I'm not exactly sure. They could also have Stubborn Denial here. Snapcaster, path that. So I just fetch and Stubborn Denial and get to connect. Yeah, so they do have Stubborn Denial. I'm not going to block this turn. And I am not going to play this land either. If they have another Thought Knots here, this line is kind of bad, but I want them to... I want to be able to chump block with the creatures that I have. And if they have another creature, I want them to feel like they can commit it to the board. Okay, so I will Supreme Verdict. Let me draw 2 cards. Medium. So Essence Scatter is just going to be pretty poor this game. Probably just going to discard it to a Reality Smasher at some point. Wonder if they'll put this other cavern on something different. They still chose Eldrazi. And get a Steve Vents. Okay, Snapcaster is a fine draw, I think. Okay, and at this point, just really want to draw like Sphinx's Revelation, I guess. What do we got here? Sky Spawner. It's kind of an annoying card. Take an island. Oh, there's the Sphinx's Revelation. And I think I want that lighthouse. That's one of my better lands that I can draw. So this turn I'm planning to Snapcaster Path, and then so Snapcaster will block the Eldrazi Scion. And, oh, I don't have a path. Oh, why did I think I have a path in my graveyard? Guess at this point just take Negate, I guess. Ooh, and I know I have a Revelation on top. I am actually going to take the land instead of the Revelation. That's probably not correct. And I'm going to take this damage too. Why did I think I had a path in my graveyard? I have no idea. Maybe so now I can Verdict. I mean, if the opponent ever gets Reality Smasher plus Counter Spell, basically can't win. Discard that. And that's not very good. Another cavern. Wonder if this one's Eldrazi or something different. Human. Okay, so maybe they do have multiple Eternal Witnesses or something. Noble Hierarchy, yeah. That's really annoying, because I would have been able to counter that prior. Ooh, okay. Very, very nice. Yeah, I would like to discard that land. Okay, so this is our Revelation turn. And I want to play around Stubborn Denial, so only going to do it for 4. If they have 2 Stubborn Denials, I have a path. Okay, so opponent concedes. Whew. Alright, so yeah, I think after that we made it into the clear. The opponent probably thinks that we have an Emrakul in our deck, so they just conceded to the Nahiri being on 8 loyalties, thinking that Emrakul is going to come across and kill them. I guess that's one kind of advantage of having, your random one of Planeswalker in your deck being Nahiri, is that people just kind of assume you have an Emrakul and play around that sometimes. We didn't, clearly. But even still, I think we're in a fine spot. So we have Path, and for a Smasher, plenty of different discard fodder. Uh, Negate for Stubborn Denials. We have our win condition will be online with Keranos. So I think things were looking good for that match, even if the opponent played it out to the bitter end. Hopefully you enjoyed that, Stratters, and thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more matches.